this was the celebration moment for me. This was like the ultimate celebration moment. C-3PO was helping me carry my poster, making sure it didn't get damaged. And behind me comes Boba Fett saying, "I hope you're well today, brother." And he walks into the back room. What? Hello and welcome back to Cast the Whills. I'm your host Will, and with me is my amazing co-host Amelia.
Hi.
So today's episode is a continuation from the last one. So in the last episode I talked about my time in Japan, and I mentioned the reason why I was in Japan was for Star Wars Celebration.
Very exciting.
So today's episode is going to all be about my experience at Star Wars Celebration. So I think this is going to be a long episode. From what I can remember.
Quite possibly.
It's been about half a year since the event, so I've tried my best. I've written down on the floor everything that happened, so I'll be looking down a lot, and I've been sick the past week, so if I start coughing and sounding weird, that'll be why. But, so there'll be a lot of memories shared, my insights into the event. This will be good for people that especially didn't go, just to get a feel for what it's like on the ground.
And would you go again?
Yeah, how busy it is, what the lines are like. And also, I think tickets for the next celebration come out in a few months. So this kind of give you a bit of an insight into what to expect and how to plan. So the last episode finished with me mainly getting tickets is what is relevant was me picking up my tickets. And I'll cut forward quite a bit. I've made a little poster frame of all of my mementos from Star Wars Celebration. So those tickets are in that poster. So at the end of this episode, I'll show you the poster because it has some spoilers from the rest of this episode. But the art for the event, maybe I'll put up the art for the badges, was really impressive. So it was the art that we've seen on a few of the shirts so far was the Japanese style of some of the main characters. So for the event they had, I'm looking now, it's Luke Skywalker was on the Friday, Darth Vader was on the Saturday, and the Sunday was Ahsoka. And they had, for example, a VIP had Yoda, and I think guests had the Mandalorian and Grogu, and staff had Sabine, and vendors had, I think, Ray and Kylo, and there was different art for each badge that you could have. So that was pretty exciting. So yeah, I picked up the badges, and then I had a day in between. I think I went to Disney or did something else. I can't remember. You have to watch the last episode if you can remind me. So the first day of celebration, the event opened at 9. So obviously you get there at 8, just in case.
At least.
Yeah. So I think I ended up waking up at 6:30. So my plan was have a shower, run down to Lawson's, which was on the bottom floor of my hotel, which was it's a 7-Eleven brand.
Equivalent?
Yeah. So I bought, it was I think 2 Inaris, one with plain rice, one teriyaki chicken, because I thought plain rice can be like my breakfast, just something where if I'm feeling nauseous or off, I can just quickly eat it. And then teriyaki chicken was just to have something a bit more variety, because I had heard people say before, don't rely on convention food. It's either you're lining up expensive or not good, or all of the above.
I was about to say.
Yes. So, and I bought just some other little snacky things to get me through the day. I have a funny story about my food experience on day one. So I grabbed that food, went back to my room, and then I'm stressfully checking, have I got my poster? Because I brought my poster from another episode, the Supernova Comic-Con Experiences, which I was getting my poster signed, so I had to have my poster on me.
Wouldn't want to leave that behind.
We don't want to leave that behind or take the tube without the poster. Make sure I have my tickets with me. Make sure I have my emails of the tickets, just in case, and emails for any events at Celebration which you needed to book for in advance. Making sure I had a screenshot on my phone and had the printed off. So you're checking your bag a lot. Your bag's heavy because you've got a lot of your convention stuff, and you want to make sure you're not taking any time out of your day to just waste on finding things.
Or take a risk.
So I get on the train, which thankfully was only 3 or 4 stops from the event, which most people were traveling really far to get to the event. So I was really glad I was close. And it was fun because you could already see some people in their Star Wars get up, or some people already in cosplay, which was really fun to see. I think most people had to take their cosplay in a suitcase to the event and get changed at the event, because I think in Japan, the etiquette is you don't wear your cosplay on the way to an event, you get changed there. So then after the train ride, you go off the train station. And as I said in the last episode, there was all this banners and posters for Star Wars Celebration, which is really exciting when you're walking to the convention center and there's hundreds of people all charging their way towards the entrance hall. And yeah, a theme of today's episode will be you kind of need a degree in Star Wars Celebration to understand the event, because before the event, they released the map for how to get inside the building, which it was a confusing map. It wasn't easy. So everyone's making their way towards the lining area, and it ended up being outside. I don't think they did the best job of organizing the line outside, because it was a long line to get into the line to get into the event. There was lines for line. This was the security
Lineception.
check-in. Yeah, lineception. It was the security check-in, but the security check-in took a long time because I don't think they prepared for it. So it was probably an hour lining up. And look, the cool part was everyone's in costume. So you talk to so many people saying, I love your Padme costume. I love your Clone Trooper costume. Someone just wears a shirt and you're like, oh, where'd you get that shirt from? And you're talking about things. This was amazing. Someone had an SM-33 head in line. So in their backpack, they had SM-33 like coming out of their backpack with like the rat eye. And he was like, he had lights and he was moving. And it was stuff like that. It was like, you were strange, and you're already seeing these really creative things.
Yeah.
So the line was an experience. You make friends in the line, which I found was a perk of solo traveling, is you may be more outgoing to talk to people.
Still a line at the end of the day,
so you get to the front of the line and then you realize, oh, is this a security check-in? Cool. So they check your bags. Or that wasn't the best security. They kind of check your bags, and maybe if you had a lightsaber, they put like a tag on it. And then you get to line up for the event, finally. Hey. Something I did notice on day one, which they did rectify on day 2 and 3, I think because there were so many people, they didn't check if you had a ticket. Because the badge, it didn't have a barcode that said, this is my ticket. It was it was a piece of plastic and it just said Friday on it. So it wasn't like identified to you. So they never checked when you went in that you had a Friday ticket. You could just walk in.
Right, okay. Did you have to show your artwork at least, or not even that?
No. You don't have to show anything, because the artwork said Friday on it.
But that's what I mean. Did you have to show them your little...
No.
Okay.
They didn't check it all, but because they must have assumed someone else has checked, that kind of slipped through. And then as you're walking by, you can just see people lining up, and the line's gone for ages just to get into the event. And I think I got into the line to go into the event at 9 o'clock exactly. And
so good you were there early.
What was interesting, I was where the front of the line was to go in. I was walking past that as the event opened. So I actually heard them saying, welcome to Star Wars Celebration. You see people running to go to the Hot Toys booth. So they would say, please walk. You see people booking. I think I got a little bit of a video, so I'll try putting that up if I've got it. And you see people running to get in. And I was like, oh God, this is the theme for the event. And then, so I had a reserved seat for the Mandalorian and Grogu panel in one of the live streamed rooms. So the extra layer of confusion was, where do I line up? Because apparently you didn't have to go in the main queue to get into the event. There was a specific queue for people who were going to the live panel, like in person, or a live streamed panel. There was no signage. You ask people, they've got somewhat of an idea. It's one of those events you don't want to go out of the line, find your line isn't there, and then you're not allowed to go back to where you were.
Particularly if you're by yourself.
Yes. And then eventually, thankfully, this was like 9:05, so you're like stressfully going, do I get out of line? Do I try to get into the event? Someone walking by with the sign saying, if you're here for Mandalorian and Grogu Twin Sun stage, you go here. So finally got there. And then it was good. So there was a whole bunch of people going into this live stream stage. But fortunately, there's like 4 people I was lined up with that were all solo travelers. So there was one guy from the States, one person from the Netherlands, one person from Germany. And we're all just talking about Star Wars. Yeah. And this was the first time, and I was talking about the art in the last episode, and definitely for the rest of this episode, a theme is just that connection.
Community.
Instant community, that these people are from 3 different continents, and we're all here for the same event. So there's no umming and ahhing. It's just, oh, you're here for... It's not even the same event. It's the same panel. You can just say, oh, are you excited for Mandalorian and Grogu? Who do you think is going to show up? Is Pedro Pascal going to be here? What else are you doing? Who are you getting autographs from? So it's that great, just like you get to know someone so quickly. And had they been to other celebrations, they have advice on how to approach celebration. So we went into the live stage together and we sat down. And if you're in one of the live stream rooms or even the normal room that have like MC hype people getting you excited before the event started, because obviously when they post this event on social media, they want people like excited, and when people come out, they want people screaming. So they'd be doing, 5 people in costume come to the front and we're going to have a dance off, for example. And then give out like little prizes, it was a fun way to get the audience excited. You could feel like the buzz happening. So that panel starts, and that panel was... So most celebrations have a Lucasfilm Star Wars Celebration panel, which is the overarching, welcome to Star Wars Celebration. Here's every movie that's going to come out in the next 10 years. But they kind of crammed that into the Mandalorian Grogu panel. So the first half hour was the general Star Wars Celebration one. The second half hour was the movie, which I didn't mind, but I know some people weren't a fan of, that there wasn't a dedicated panel to just Star Wars generally in the future. That's
fair enough. Yeah.
Which is fair. So it opened up with like a 10-minute montage tribute to kind of like Star Wars. And God, people are...
tearing up,
getting teary, and obviously they start off with like Leia going, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Like they have that message, and then they're just showing like every awesome scene from Star Wars, and it's getting emotional. And you just look around, people are crying, and I'm thinking, we're just rewatching clips, and this is already happening. So it was just a moment like that, so special with that only that room of people at that event. You're like, I am at Star Wars Celebration Japan.
Exactly, like seeing those clips in the context of like, I'm by myself, I'm halfway across the world, I'm doing something that I thought I'd never actually do. Like that, and
I'm around
contributes.
Friends, you know? And it was just that moment of, oh my God, I'm here. I'm going to be in the room where we find out the exclusive information, or we see a trailer no one else gets to see. So they start off the panel with R2 and C-3PO coming out and doing a bit. And it was kind of funny because they were speaking in Japanese. You can tell everyone in the crowd just didn't know what was happening, but it was fun. And then they had Kathleen Kennedy talk for a bit, who's the president of Lucasfilm, talking about kind of Star Wars generally, the direction it's going in. And then they brought out Sean Levy, who he's known for Night at the Museum, I think 1, 2, and 3.
Really?
He did Fall Guy, and most recently Deadpool and Wolverine.
And Stranger
Things. He was very instrumental in Stranger Things. So he's been a big like franchise guy recently. So he comes out and then he announces he's doing the Star Wars Starfighter movie, and everyone's pretty excited. And then he says, there's been a lot of rumors online of who's going to appear in the movie. Obviously, everyone knows where this is going, but he said, this is when we didn't know the information was fresh. He said, there's been rumors, like one rumor that I heard that would have been great was Ryan Gosling was going to be in the movie, and I wish we could have got him. So can everyone please welcome Ryan Gosling? He comes out, and even though you're not in the room, people are screaming where I was, and they're out of their chair, clapping, yelling. So it was a massive surprise that Ryan Gosling was at the event, because I think... Obviously, people were like speculating, will Pedro be there? Will Ewan? Will Natalie Portman be there? No one expected Ryan Gosling. And I think that's what was fun, was someone you would never expect to attend Star Wars Celebration was there. So that was really fun. And then they go, and then they have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni come on stage to talk about Mandalorian and Grogu. And then everyone's kind of like, come on, when are you going to show the trailer? Like, they're saying, we got to do all this fun stuff. And, it's cool seeing the sets and you're trying to piece together what's happening. So, like, you got to see the inside of an AT-AT and you're like, why is that cool in the movie? They bring out Sigourney Weaver from the Alien movies, and she's going to be Mandalorian and Grogu. So she was there. And then they bring out Pedro, and everyone's like, woo, everyone's clapping. And then they're like, we got one more very special guest. So they bring out Baby Yoda, and he's doing he's waving to the crowd. And it's just amazing. And then they eventually showed the trailer, which is great because only people in the room got to see it. And the trailer that subsequently got released, it only had about the third of the footage that was at Celebration. So Celebration still had some exclusive footage. I think, they said they were going around, you can't film it. Obviously, it got online somehow. It was a really fun trailer, but it was just that moment of, I am the first person in the world to see this trailer. That's what was crazy to me. It was like, for my whole life, I've been watching San Diego Comic-Con and Star Wars Celebration and, different events around the world. And, you hear people talking about, in the Avengers Endgame trailer, we see Thanos on a farm. And you're like, I don't really get it. But when you're in the room where you get to see the trailer, there's something special. And once again, you're sharing it with these people around you. So straight away, there's a buzz of everyone talking about what's happening in the trailer.
What does this all mean?
Yeah, what does it all mean? So that was really exciting, I think. And another big thing is at the end of Celebration, they announce when the next one is. That's like another little exciting moment. I think Jon Favreau slipped that this Celebration was the last one before Mandalorian and Grogu. So it kind of soft confirmed there wouldn't be one in 2026. So you could tell when he said that, everyone kind of looked at each other. And then I think there was maybe a moment where he was on stage where he maybe realized he wasn't meant to say that. But it was just funny. It wasn't the end of the world. But
they're typically every 2 years though.
Yeah, every 2 years. But everyone was thinking for Mandalorian and Grogu, they might do one to promote the movie. Anyway, so that was an exciting panel, and then it ends, and then there's a big buzz in the room of everyone chatting, like, da, da. And, you're walking in talking about the trailer, and then you're talking about, what are you going on for the rest of the day? So after the panel, which went for an hour, I had my Hayden Christensen photo booked for 10:30, and the panel finished at 10. So I had half an hour where I could just get a feel for the floor. And at Celebration, there's something called the live stage. And the live stage is where they just have a stage in the middle of the convention where anyone can come out at random. There's no schedule list. It's just, is this person free to come out for a chat? Bring them out for 20 minutes. And that's the excitement, is you never know who will come out. It could be...
There's no schedule to it.
Yeah, it could be a comic book artist. It could be Hayden Christensen. It could be Dave Filoni. It could be anyone. And the whole point is you can't just stand there waiting to see, who's next. So for that day, as soon as I walked out, I thought, well... I don't think Ryan Gosling is hanging around Celebration for 3 days. I think he's probably going to come out on stage right now because he's probably going to leave straight away after he's done with the event. So then I walk over to the live stage, and then they announce Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling coming out, and you just see everyone. You see just people moving towards and compacting in. So I got a pretty good spot. Obviously, the photo looks a bit far away, but in person, you could see them quite closely. So wow, I've seen Ryan Gosling,
in the flesh.
In the flesh. And then obviously they're just talking about the movie and just doing their spiel about it. Nothing too exciting. They're just kind of talking about how exciting the movie is. And it was just funny. It was I went to the live stage a bit throughout the whole thing, but this is the only one where I think Ryan Gosling he'd look in a direction, people would just start yelling. Other people, Dave Filoni would come on. If he waved, people would wave back. But I think Ryan Gosling, he could just turn and people just start yelling at him. It was so funny, just the star power in that moment. So I hung around there for a bit while they were talking, and then they left. And then you could see everyone dispersing, rushing off to their things. And then, so I had the line in the morning, and the theme of Celebration is you will be lining up. It is a lesson you learn the hard way. So for Hayden's photo, the way they booked it, for people like Hayden, Rosario Dawson, who plays Ahsoka, and Diego Luna, who plays Cassian Andor, most people, they just, for example, let's say Anthony Daniels, C-3PO, he's available from 10 to 12 for photos. Shop when you want. But for these popular ones, so Hayden, Rosario, and Diego, they had specific slots for you to get there, like a plane. So I was the 10:30 to 10:45 slot, and you had to get there. And if you didn't get your photo. Or I don't know what would happen. But the point was, it was a very restricted time frame, so not everyone would bog down the line. This was not implemented. So people had been lining up all morning for their photo.
Since 9?
Since 9. Yeah. So I anticipated the line to be 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, just because of delays. It was an hour and a half because they didn't check when your time slot was. It was just an honor system, which people weren't honoring, which is fine. So, you're lining up for a bit, and I got halfway through the line. And then on the live stage, just Pedro Pascal comes out. And so that's kind of the theme of the event is people are just walking out doing something. You see people over in a corner just screaming and yelling. And then, 20 minutes later, you hear people yelling and you're like, okay, so a movie or show was just announced. You can just tell stuff's happening. So I could see Pedro from a distance. Once again, you could see everyone just bunching into the live stage, which was fun. And then, so, you're lining up for your photo with Hayden. And then as I get to the front, I'm like, oh, I'm meeting the chosen one. It's only just
now.
I know, I booked it ages ago and I'm coming to them. I knew it was happening, but it was when I was 4 people away and I was about to turn the corner. I was like, I'm about to meet Anakin Skywalker in person. And then you turn the corner, when 2 people are in front of you. And I was like, what the hell? He's right there in front of me. So I walk up to him. I'm just blanking. He goes into, because with these things, because they're busy, I never know what the vibe is, or handshake, hug, do you just pose? Because I've heard some people, they just pose and that's it. Whereas Hayden, he went in for a handshake. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I said, to seem I was very invested. I said to him, happy birthday for tomorrow. Because I quickly looked up his birthday. I think people were saying it. And he said, oh, thanks, really appreciate it. Got the photo, which I'll put up now. I'm surprised I was a bit taller than him. I thought he was going to be really tall. Anyway. And then afterwards, I shook his hand again. I said, once again, happy birthday for tomorrow. I said, thanks, I really appreciate it. So I walked out thinking Anakin Skywalker loves me, which is a great feather in my cap, obviously. Yeah. Some people say that photo looks like we're father and son. So I'll leave that up to you to decide how close we look alike. But that photo brings back great memories. That was a great way to start, was, meeting someone of that caliber on the morning of day one. That's what happens is you line up for ages. That's another theme of Celebration. You line up for hours, but the 10 seconds that you get is incredible.
Worth it.
The line was worth meeting Hayden just for that bit, or the line to get into the event was worth the event, or the merch line, or anything. So that was great to meet Hayden and shake his hand, happy birthday, and he loves me now. So then Yeah, the other not issue was, but like before you got a photo, you just had to put your bag in like a public space where it wasn't like a separate area to put bags in. It was just like on the floor, so
bit of an honest
anyone could have grabbed
again.
it anyway. So then I decided I'm gonna observe the floor because there were 3 massive halls they'd booked out. So I thought I'm just gonna walk the floor, get a vibe for what everything is. So the Hot Toys line was 3 to 5 hours. The Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper, which was the most coveted one, sold out within like an hour or 2 hours. And, you know, it is what it is. I did have someone that I met in the Japan episode that I went out for dinner with. He said he was going to line up for the Hot Toy. So I just said to him, hey, if you get in, can you grab it for me? No stress. If not, he couldn't in the end. But he did grab for me those Star Wars Planet cookies there. So that was a fun little pickup to get from the Hot Toys booth. What else was cool about the Hot Toys was outside of the store, they had, I think, every Star Wars Hot Toy on display.
Oh, wow.
And they've actually like set it up. It wasn't like the Hot Toys store in Japan where they just had them standing. It was they were meant to be like posed and in action. So it was cool to see that. And what was just incredible, walking the floor, obviously it's like Supernova on steroids. Like every booth is Star Wars. And, you know, Supernova, it's like a few booths. Every booth is Star Wars. All the merch is Star Wars. Anything Star Wars. You're walking around, there's just like 2 Wookiees in front of you. Or there's the Mandalorian with Grogu in the pod, and the pod's like somehow moving on its own. Or you've just got Darth Vader walking around. Or you've got Kylo Ren. Or you've got an infantry of clone troopers walking around. Or Boba Fett. And that's what was just so breathtaking was the entire weekend. There's just this incredible level of cosplay that you just kind of take for granted after a minute. So there was a Lego booth, and I'm a big Lego person. And as you might be able to see in some episodes back there, I'm a big Lego person. I was a little bit disappointed. They didn't have any exclusive sets for Celebration. They were only early release. So the early release, I think it was the Star Wars Lego set, which if it was exclusive to the event, I would have got. But because it was an early release, I thought I'm not lining up 2 hours to pay probably 150% the price of the set. Just for it to come out in 2 months. So I decided against it in the end. But one cool thing they did was they had a mosaic wall where everyone got to build a tile and put it up. But it took like an hour to line up to build your tile. And I just thought, I'm not too fussed.
You've done Lego before.
And we'd done the Lego mosaic at the Lego Museum.
We did.
So I was like, I already had my let other people enjoy it. So yeah, just sussing out the floor. Another fun part of Celebration is you're just walking around. And then you look up in a balcony and you go, oh, there's Sigourney Weaver, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni. Oh. They're just hanging. And they're just kind of looking around. They might be doing an interview. They're just waving to people. And I'm like, I've been watching you on YouTube and in documentaries and in movies for years. And now you're just like 3 meters away from me. And I'm sure they waved at me specifically. They definitely did, right? But it was just those moments of like, wow, I'm here right now and this feels so weird. And you know, you always hear people saying the celebration moments of just someone's on the floor. I had someone say, you know, they were looking at Mandalorian costumes and they were talking to someone next to her, and then someone walks up to them and says, yeah, it was hard to get the details right on the scuff marks. And it's Jon Favreau standing next to him. Like, you hear these stories, but you just don't believe them until you're there. So then the next thing I decided to do was pick up the art. So for Celebration, they have 20 pieces of art that are exclusive that they commission artists to do. This is different to the badge art. And there's about, I think, 250 of each art. So they are limited. And another stressful thing you have to do at Celebration is 3 months before you have to stressfully log in online and
decide what you're
art
buying
before it sells out. Hope the website doesn't crash. Hope your card gets accepted. Your card doesn't crash. And then, of course, before the event, they said your order's been cancelled. You've been refunded. Actually, no, it's fine, but you have to pay the amount again. So it's just stressful. Yeah. And then you line up for an hour and a half, not to get your art, just to get the token to pick up your art.
That you've already paid for. Ordered.
Anyway, and when you walk up to pick up your art, the high-tech security they have for your tokens is you walk up and they say, so what pieces of art are you picking up? And you say, I was honest, I'm getting the Yoda with Luke Skywalker and Luke Skywalker with Grogu and the Darth Vader with the shuttle. And they just write it down on a piece of paper. There isn't like a barcode they print off. They don't check your ticket. They don't write it down. It's just a handwritten note saying, it's like you're getting a lunch order when you're 10 years old. It's just a, one piece of exclusive limited art. Thank you kindly, ma'am/sir. And I remember picking up thinking, so I could either, not that I would, but someone could photocopy this, send it to a friend, or just write your own I'm also getting the Old Republic art.
I was going to say, or say you're getting all 20 pieces.
Exactly. So it was a bit, look, I'm not fussed because I got my art in the end. But it was once again, it's that lack of security.
There probably were people who missed out.
Yeah, I hope no one missed out because that would have been really disappointing. But the fact they didn't check your receipts, they didn't print off a token or a receipt. It was just handwritten. Look, it is what it is. So for the Luke Skywalker and Yoda and Grogu one, that one was one I had to get. I just love the scene.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. I love both those scenes. Return of the Jedi, Luke coded with, and it was Yoda training Luke and then Luke training Grogu. I thought it was just a lovely piece of art. So you pick up the art and the artist is there. So you get to chat to the artist for a bit. I found out at the London celebration, she did a similar one. It was young Leia talking to Obi-Wan from the Kenobi series, and then Leia giving R2-D2 the Death Star plans in a similar style. So I was just talking to her about like, what's your celebration like? You know, what's it like for her being a vendor? And that was very interesting. And then I picked up the Darth Vader with the shuttle, and that was another one. I spoke to the artist saying, I just like, what inspired this? What made you want to do it? And he said, the fog is really handy because you don't have to draw as much.
Not wrong.
Yeah. So that was the art I was glad to pick up. But, you know, when you've got countless things in your backpack and you're carrying around, your bag gets heavy and you're getting tired. And then that was mainly it for the day. I had one thing left to do that day, only take half an hour. I got Hayden Christensen's autograph. So the event closes at 6. I got in line at 4 because I thought 2 hours is more than enough to get an autograph and still have time to do something else.
Finalize your first day?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get in line and I'm just talking to the people in front of me, and one of them ends up living like 20 or 30 minutes away from me, which, you know, I get it's people from Australia who go to celebration, but it's like, I'm in Japan. How am I meeting someone from like 3 suburbs away or whatever? So that was kind of funny, like talking to those people. And he said like he'd been to Skellig Michael, which was the island from Force Awakens Last Jedi, which Luke lives on. So he said he went there, and, you know, he had some good stories to share about Star Wars. So we're talking just about Star Wars. And I just noticed the line really isn't moving. And then it's getting to like quarter to 6.
What could that mean?
Yeah, what could this mean? It gets to quarter to 6 and I'm thinking, I'm like maybe halfway through this line and it's been over an hour and a half. So this is when you start stressing because you're thinking, okay, have I wasted 2 hours
of my limited time
here, and I'm going to get kicked out of the line. I may not get a refund or be able to do it another day. What am I going to do? This was a very stressful experience because getting an autograph is stressful enough because you're making sure your pens work and you're making sure, you know, you're ready to say, I want this, whatever. You want to talk to the person, and you've got a backpack full of heavy stuff and you're carrying all these things, and it was just too much for me to handle. And then as you get towards the front, they start saying things like only one person allowed in, which I would have been really upset if you were with me, that if we line up for 2 hours and then they said you couldn't line up with me anymore.
It's a bit late to be making that call.
It's a waste of your time. Yeah. But also, if I've spent $500 to get an autograph,
should be able to bring whoever you want.
I can bring the whole family. I can bring the whole family. But that
within reason, but I think two people is within reason.
And it's one of those things, does that really make a difference? Because if you're like by my side the whole time, you're not delaying.
The line's still moving.
The line's still moving. So that was disappointing that they started kicking people out. I just felt bad for those people because obviously it's a way you get to meet the person even if they're quickly doing something. And then I noticed there was like someone 3 spots or 4 spots in front of me. He had like 10 pop vinyls to get signed. And I was thinking, dog, if your pop vinyls get signed and we get kicked out of the line because it's too late. Anyway, so this is when you're stressing. It's one of those things, the closer you get to the front, the more stressed you are because you're thinking, I'm going to get kicked out when I get to the front, aren't I? And you're just not believing it.
Sunk costs, isn't it? You're like, I'm this close.
I know. And then they then say, if you're attending Saturday or Sunday, you have to get out of the line because we'll give you a voucher for another day. I didn't believe them for a second. They said you'd be able to use the VIP line, which that's like no one's in that line. But firstly, they had to do that, which I'd learnt for that day. Not everything was run the best way possible. And secondly, sunk cost fallacy. I didn't want to spend time in my day coming back into that line waiting for that autograph
when you've already lined up for it for 2 hours.
Waiting for Hayden to come. And then it was just, I didn't want to do that again. I just wanted to get it done now and go home. So getting towards the front, you're stressing, you're shaking, you're sweating, you got this weight on your shoulders, but you still want to enjoy the experience. And so they said if you've got more than 1 day ticket, get out of the line. And then I what was funny, so there was a 3-day pass. I think the 3-day pass was Mandalorian and Grogu, whereas I had 3 individual day passes, which I left in my room. So I just showed them the Friday pass. I was like, look, I'm lying, but I'm not getting out of this line. So I felt so bad for the people that got kicked out just because they bought tickets to other days.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit not great. And so I'm finally getting in front of the line. And then you get to you turn the corner and you're like, oh, there's Hayden and he's got his handlers there. You can tell he's really trying to sign things. And then I get to the first handler where you give for the 3 busy people, so Rosario, Hayden, and Diego, you had to line up in a different booth firstly to get your voucher to say, I'm getting their autograph with the character name and a quote. So you get 3 vouchers. I just had the autograph with character name. So I give over my 2 vouchers and they're right on a sticky note. I say, okay, I've got the autograph, and they said, what character name do you want? I said, I want him to sign Darth Vader. Because I thought, when else are you going to get Darth Vader to sign your poster? Anakin's, She says, how do you spell that? Which, okay, I'm not going to shame someone for not knowing how to spell the name of the most iconic character in cinema. That is fine.
You're not going to shame
the most iconic character in Star Wars, when you're at a Star Wars event, that's fine. But I feel like if you're the handler for an actor, and they have a few characters that get signed, you should either know the names or they should have like a piece of paper saying, how do you spell the name?
Like A, B, or C, which character name do you want?
If someone doesn't know Darth Vader when they're working with Hayden Christensen at Star Wars Celebration.
It's funny more than anything.
I'll let it slide in its own weird way. But if they just don't know the person's, like it could be anyone. If they were working for Manny Jacinto or they're working for, I don't know, who plays like Walter White, or Gustavo Fring and Giancarlo Esposito, you need to know how to spell that person's characters. Or there has to be a master sheet.
It's not a crazy expectation.
Yes. And when you're stressed already and they're asking you, how do you spell Vader, you get blindsided by that question because it's the last thing you're expecting. So I go, okay, it's Vader. And then she grabs the sticker and then puts it right over one of the other autographs I got. And I was just trying to keep it to myself, just being like, it's just ink, it doesn't matter, it's the memories on
dry.
the paper. It's fine. So then you get up and then the handler before Hayden, you give your poster and pen through. They just yank it off you. They just yank it off you. Which, on one hand, I get that they're stressed. Actually, I'll wait till the end of this experience to talk about that. And then you get to Hayden. That's nice. You can tell he's under pressure, but he's still trying to make sure everyone gets a nice moment or experience. So, he signs it, looks up, says thank you, and that's about as much as you can have. Whereas people earlier in the day, you could have a chat with him because there was time. Then I grab the other guy passes me on poster. I'm like, cool. And then I'm walking away and he goes, hey. I was like, all right, whatever. Turn around. He's like, oh, your pen. Just throws it to me. My red inky pen. He throws it towards my black poster.
Cap open?
I think cap open. Just like clothes as well. I can't remember what I was wearing. I think I was wearing my Culture King shirt, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and this is what happened with all the handlers, right? When I picked up my ticket, the person which I picked up the ticket from wasn't the most pleasant. The person who didn't know the name, the person who yanked my poster, the person that threw the pen. I get they're under pressure. I get it's a busy day. They're doing a 14-hour shift. They need to get through people. The event organizers have oversold the autographs. It's not there. Okay, they're in a bad position. Actually, I feel worse for the volunteers because they're
definitely
not paid and they're not responsible for any of it. They're just running the lines, for example. So I was like, they're fine. But it's the handlers. I was thinking, people have spent hundreds of dollars on this moment. They've flown to Japan. They've waited 3 hours for this. I understand you're under pressure and I understand you just want to be done with the day. But if I've spent that much money, I don't want to feel like I'm being pushed or stressed through that moment. And I'm glad Hayden was good with it. And I've heard most actors are good because they're the ones that it's kind of like
it falls on their shoulders.
Well, it's that, but it's also the actor can afford to be nice because they've got other people to be a bit pushy.
Yeah.
Which, look, I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know every person's psyche, but I'm a bit disappointed. My main memory of getting Hayden's autograph was how I was treated by the handlers. And it's one of those things where this is my outlook in life. Whether you're stressed on something or you're not stressed, it's not going to change what's happened. Like the fact they're going to be there late and working as long as they can and as hard as they can, that won't change the fact that there's a line. And all they have to do is just say, can I please have your poster? Thank you. Or say, hey, you forgot your pen. I get that they're trying to do a production line, but it's just I didn't really appreciate how much I was being pushed around a bit. I heard a few people getting photos were just being like look, you know how accurate it is being yelled at by the event organizer, get in the photo, don't talk to them, get out. And apparently it's happened with Hayden. Someone did that. The person started crying and she walked out and he said, no, get them back in. They're getting another photo. So it's good of him, but it's just like, it shouldn't be happening. And I do appreciate these are busy events. They have strict timelines. Hayden's doing 3 15-hour days where he's on. He doesn't get a break. I get it. I appreciate it. But, you know, it would suck if I didn't get it, but just sell less autographs and photos. Honestly, I'd rather a better experience than, look, I'm glad I got the autograph and photo, but I was just a bit let down by that experience. And I think it's more the attitude of people that, I get it's their job, but for a lot of people, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Like, I know I got a celebration again, but for some people, this will be the only celebration they go to in their life. They might have flown to Japan just to meet Hayden. You don't know what people's stories are or how much Hayden means to them and what they've done, what their character's done. And to be treated that way when you spent a lot of time and money...
A lot of money
from
my recollection.
And it shouldn't matter how much money you spend. Like, everyone deserves a level of respect. But especially when you spent that much money, I do not blame Hayden at all for this. This is not him. It's the people who oversold autographs. And I do sympathize with the handlers that they are...
dealing with a difficult situation.
That they didn't choose to be in. Yeah. But it's one of those things where 6 months later... was it really worth them rushing people along now? And I get in that moment of time, it's easy to say, hey man, in half a year's time, it won't matter whether you're rushing or not. I get it. But it's just one of those things. This is like, okay, if you're at like, I don't know, a sporting event, you know, people are getting moved around, but there'll be another event next week or a Star Wars celebration happens once every 2 years. I think there's an onus on the organizers to make sure it's one of the best fan experiences in terms of queuing and in terms of lines.
Seems like there was a logistical failure on several occasions as well.
But I've heard it happens every year, every celebration. So it's a thing they're aware of. It's, you know, increasing population. There's more people wanting to go. You want to sell as many tickets as you can, but it is tricky. It is irksome because like the VIP pass, it's, you know, it's $1,500. I would have gladly paid that because that would have meant I get to skip every line. I get to skip the line for the event, for panels, for autographs, for photos. It is worth the money.
Times money.
But they only have like a very limited amount. Like they sell it within a minute of them going online. So it's more not can you afford it, it's can you get it.
Yeah.
So that was just another annoying little thing. I was actually I've done everything on that day.
It seems like even though I personally don't have any experience in like event organizing, in my head I don't think it would be that hard to just check a few things.
Yes.
Like ahead of time, if they know that it takes, let's say on average, 90 seconds per person getting an autograph, they can do the maths on that and then work out how many people can fit in the time slot.
If we do it in 10 seconds, how many more can we sell?
But even if they increase the price, like with supply and demand, like if they give you not an extensive amount of time, but enough time to get what you want out of the experience, you'd pay more for that so that you don't have this memory of it.
I know, but autographs are already so expensive. Apparently they've gone up in the past few years just because of resellers doing that and just like people are willing to pay for it. Like apparently Mark Hamill used to be $100, now he's like $600 or $800 US.
Wow.
And you know, you don't know why all the business, but I think autographs are expensive, so I think increasing them more is going to be crazy. I actually need to jump back in time a bit. I forgot, I went to the merch store, which the merch store, another stressful experience for Ford, you can buy a fast pass for the merch store.
Oh, wow.
If you didn't buy fast pass, you got a 4-hour line ahead of you. And that's if you lined up at 6 or 7 a.m. So if you tried lining up during the day, you do not go in the merch store. So the merch store, I got a fast pass, so I got to skip by the line. I felt, it's like, you know when you're at Disneyland, you feel horrible. Going, you're like, oh, everyone's judging me. And then you walk in and then you just see what the store is. And there's no organization to where the stock is.
Yeah.
There's no sense of what order do you walk in. People are everywhere. Shelves are full or empty. There's stock in the back, which aren't on the shelves. So it's like items are temporarily sold out until they restock it, but you don't you don't know that, and you're stressed. And then, so I got a few t-shirts, and before you show them, I'll tell them the story about the t-shirt. So obviously there are a lot of t-shirts I wanted to buy. The line to get t-shirts was 20 minutes to just get the t-shirts. So I went up to the guy. I thought I'm going to be buying like 25 shirts. So I wrote down on my notes app. They had like numbers. So like, you know, Mandalorian and Grogu was 1. Anakin is 2, Obi-Wan is 3. So I just wrote down the numbers in small and medium for us and just showed him to him. So he was very thankful. He didn't have to grab a shirt, come back, be like, what else do you want? So I just gave him that. I just showed him, so maybe you can start showing the shirts. And so, yeah, a lot of the shirts were really fun. It was mainly art for the event, and there were some of the badges. So I really like that TIE Fighter one. Sorry. So this is an example of the badge art. I think that was the all access badge from memory. So yeah, so you're walking around the store and you're trying to look for stuff. You're finding, the celebration chopsticks are there, and you're stressing and walking around. You're grabbing the Revenge of the Sith anniversary cap, and it's one of those things where you're just buying stuff because it's there, and you just don't have time to think. You just got to buy. And I made a friend in the t-shirt line. That's how long you're in the line for. He was with his wife, and his wife was, it would have been good to have someone else there, like kind of divider and conquering the merch store. Yeah, so I got to talk to him about the merch store and his experience so far. They had a lot of the Jar Jar Binks pop vinyls. They weren't really moving. And as I was walking around, they had one shirt that wasn't announced beforehand, and I'll get Amelia to show it next. It was the shirt for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So they'd released that, icon that morning, and then they had it at the store, and so obviously no one knew it was there, so that was another thing he was scrambling to buy. So imagine this. You've lined up 5 hours to go into the merch store. Mm-hmm. You've lined up 20 minutes to get your shirts. Mm-hmm. You've maybe got the other merch you wanted. It might be there. It might not be. I wanted the ceramic tea set. Apparently it was then stocked later that afternoon. Anyway.
Is what it is.
Beside the point. And then you've lined up 20 minutes for a shirt, and then you go to pay an hour and a half to pay.
To tap your card.
To give your money for overpriced fabric.
Lots of your money
Lots
as
of
well.
money, mind you. An hour and a half to check out.
Gee.
I get Star Wars fans love their exclusive merch. Disney knows this. It is not a surprise. People are going to be buying a lot, and a lot of people will be buying stuff. How is that line that long? I cannot fathom that.
Yeah.
So that's why the first day, I was glad I ticked off all the things I really had to do, so like Hayden's order and the merch store. Just because it was I think I calculated like maybe 6 hours queuing up that day, or 7 hours queuing up. And I have good memories of all the stuff I did, but I've just kind of like blacked out that part of my brain.
How many hours?
The lining up part. And it was just, that line was... It was a lot. But when I got to the front, the person who was working my till, he actually worked for the organisers for the event. So I was actually talking, like, he wasn't a cashier. He was like, yeah, we're that busy. We, the people organising,
we've been called in.
Work here. So I was just talking to him about like, whoa, this must be an insane logistical exercise, this event. And, well, because I was buying so much stuff, I was chatting to him for a few minutes, and you see people cutting in line, and you're just like, But, it is what it is.
It's not in the spirit of things.
Yes. But. So I think, the overall theme was just like the line management was pretty out of hand. And particularly just the experience with Hayden's handlers. I obviously had issue with that. And once again, it's not his fault. It's not the handler's fault for the situation they're in. But once again, it's the attitude of, we can choose to be kind. Choose the light side. You're working with Anakin Skywalker. Choose the light side. Well, they don't even know how to spell Vader, so I don't expect them to know the themes of the character. Anyway, not too much shade. Anyway, so, the guy I was lining up with, we walk in, I'm like, oh my God, just got Hayden's auto. And then the silver lining of being that late was we were there half an hour after the event closed. So we got to see the entire event with no one else there. And I would say that was a very special moment. I took a few photos of the floor and what it looked like how did it look at night. You could see like the Hot Toys staff were having like a team meeting, and like the Lego staff were having a team meeting. You're like, I wonder what they're talking about, saying, yeah, it's really busy, isn't it? Yep. Can we do anything about these lines? Nope. All right, see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. So, I do have empathy for those employees, but
yeah.
So it was a special thing to be able to see the event with no one in there. But then you look over.
At what cost?
We were the last few people to get Hayden's order. There was still like 3 or 4 people behind us. You look over the photo booth, and Hayden's got a line of like 100 people to get a photo with him. So he was probably there for like another hour, an hour and a half.
Probably at least.
I get there. They're under the stress of also doing the photo booth.
Yeah.
And then that night, you're on the Facebook group looking at what people are saying. Apparently, for Sunday, Hayden's orders and photos are getting cancelled.
And for people who Sunday was their only day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because, I'm working. I can only go there on the Sunday. I want to meet Hayden Christensen. Gets cancelled because they sold too much on Friday and Saturday. It's tricky because obviously, that isn't a great position to be put in to cancel things, but you chose to be in that position to sell that much. So I think it is grossly unfair on the Sunday people to just get cancelled.
And then again, they're making the same amount of money as they would have if they just didn't oversell it in that case. I know.
And it just like, it spoils the experience. Like I was exhausted by that point. I was done. Oh, and sorry, I should have really illustrated. When I was lining up for Hayden, I had 3 bags of t-shirts, heavy t-shirts. They were here. I had marks on my arm for a day because of lining up. The guy was in the line with, I had to get him to help me carry my bags. So I had my poster tube, my backpack, the 2 prints I got,
and the merch,
my 3 bags, and I was trying to test out my pen quickly. And I'm holding my poster in my hand. He was so great. He was helping me the whole time. If he wasn't there, I couldn't have survived that experience. But I made the event stressful for myself. It doesn't help when other things make it stressful. Anyway, so I was really let down by the fact that Sundays people got cancelled. Like I was glad I got my stuff done, but I felt really bad for those people. And then I got to the end of the day and I thought, I haven't eaten anything or drunk any water today. Well, I've got to go on the train for another 20 minutes. There's no seating room on the train, so I'm staying there. I've got the bags digging into I'm just like not in my head in that moment, just like somewhere else. Finally get to my room, let my stuff down, and then I just lie on the bed. I get up and then I go downstairs. There's like a fried chicken rice place underneath my train station, which is really nice.
Yum.
Went there. I then went to like the public bathhouse on the bottom floor. You just sit in the warm and you just shut your eyes and you just let go. It is like a moment of bliss and a beautiful day. I always had that moment of, I'm at Star Celebration.
Yeah.
How the hell am I here? I can't believe I'm here. But just at the end of an exhausting day,
it's
I'm
a
thinking,
lot.
This is day 1.
Big weekend.
I got the big stuff done on day 1.
Yeah, so you could enjoy Saturday and Sunday. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have wanted to spread my long lines across 3 days. Just one day of just burn it away, get it done. And now in the next 2 days, I really got to enjoy celebration for what it was really made for. So that was my day 1 experience. And before I get into day 2, one thing I did want to quickly mention, I got mixed up. I think this is on day 1, not day 2. I remember walking around the floor and, in between the halls, they had like little outside areas. And this is where a lot of cosplayers would do like photos with people. And walking by, I was like, oh yeah, that's, Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker, cool. I look next and I'm like, that's a YouTuber I've watched for 10 years now. So he gets his photo and I'm like, bombastic. I love your videos. And then, so I'm chatting to him for a bit. And this was another surreal experience of and I have some other stories of you're walking around and there's this content creators you've been watching for years as like a child. And then they're just like there and you're having like this really cool chat. I think he's from Sydney. So, we're like, we come all the way to Japan, So he was cool to talk to. He was very interested in the gaming panel because he's a Star Wars gaming YouTuber. So I met that for a bit and I was like, man, awesome to meet you. Got a photo with him quickly. So that was like another little celebration moment of like, oh, cool. I just met like a YouTuber I've watched for like half of my life. So that was a nice moment. So day 2. Day 2 is where I went, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I know what to expect. I'm going to get in there and get out. And just, do what I want to do. So day 2, they learnt from day 1. It's like a nice little character arc. So I go in the morning, grab my food, go to my room. I eat my food before I go to the event. This time, when you're going into the security checkpoint, there's no line. Or there is a line, but it's always moving. Okay. You walk in, they say, show us your ticket. Okay. All right, we might be on here. And then so you line up, and this is a long line, like to get into the event. I was happy to line up for the event, not for the security line. Yeah. There's a difference. And when you're in this long line, people just start sitting down. And this is when I decided I'm going to put on my Return of the Jedi Luke costume on. So I'm in the line, putting my costume on. People are looking at me like, hey, I'm like, hell yeah. And other people are just in like full Darth Vader costume. I'm like, this is my $70 costume, but okay. And, people want to get photos with you. And I'm like, okay, this is like, I enjoyed it, but I was like, I don't feel like my costume's that cool. But I mean, you've likened yourself to Luke Skywalker.
True, that's right. Son.
You look like his son.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Sorry, I should take that back. Yeah. And so day 2 for me was a lot more Star Wars Celebration, the experience. This is I feel like I really enjoyed myself.
The positive memories.
So this was fun. You're just walking the floor and then you see 30 people all running, chanting one way out. And they're in the like Arcana 4 prison suits. And they're just doing laps around the 3 hall floor, just going one way out, one way out. And everyone's like cheering, making like a guard of honor for them. It's stuff like that. You would not get that at Supernova or Comic Con. It's only at Star Wars Celebration you get something that funny there of people doing like that scene. So impressive. People cosplay out of Lego. like Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, but
like
the
they
armor
build
is
their
Lego.
own.
Yeah, the armor's made out of Lego. I got a few photos. There was someone I got a photo with. It was funny. She was Bo-Katan. I had my Luke Skywalker lightsaber, but I had the blade because I wasn't going to carry a blade all day. So we traded our weapons, and like I've got the duck saber. She's got like a hilt in hand. So that was impressive. Seeing like Lego.
That'd have to be so
costumes.
uncomfortable.
I could not imagine, and they were so well detailed. What else have we got for day 2? So they had the food hall, and look, the food hall was a bit of like Rey Skywalker's skewers, and it's just like beef on a stick, or Kylo Ren's corruption, and it's just like a chocolate muffin. There were some fun thematic things. They had It's a Trap, and it was like 6 like meatballs. One of them was spicy. That was fun. Clever. Yeah. They had like 3 biscuit things that were like R2D2, C3PO, BB-8. Those were fun. Like the ones that's just it's food. And most of the food line was like an hour every day. I was so lucky. I just kind of like walked in. There was no line. So I grabbed, one of everything because I'm me. I couldn't just like grab a little bit. So I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff and, going backpack, costume, lightsaber, 5 trays of food. Anyway. And then, so I sit down with my food. It's just like benches pretty much. Like there's no tables or anything, just benches. So I sit down, I start eating. Then there's some guy sits down next to me. And then I offer him like a wet wipe. I was like, hey, do you want a wet wipe? And then we just started chatting. And then he was from, I believe, Vietnam. And we were just chatting about Star Wars and Star Celebration, what we've done, what we're planning on to do. He did like, he had a social media account that did photography of action figures.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, this is awesome. And there's a thing called swag, and it's celebration, or I think it's a celebration thing. I think other conventions would have it, but it's like little things you make that you give to other people. So he had little fridge magnets of some of his photos. He gave one to me, and you trade back, and it was kind of funny. I have a good story about it. My mum found somewhere, it was the Force Awakens sticker book from like 2015. I was like, I got nothing else. It's kind of fun. It's a bit fun. It's not much effort. Like next time I do want to make sure I make something, maybe like a Cast the Whills celebration sticker. That could be fun. So we were chatting for a bit, and we just started sharing food and sharing stories. And it was great. So we start walking the floor together, and then we meet someone else. They know all of the tech for the Star Wars Celebration treasure hunt collectibles. So there was this droid scavenger hunt. And you had to walk around like 8 different booths and scan the booths, but no one knew where they were, but they knew where it was. Like I just walked around with them. You got that for free. They had like, you had to follow some account on Twitter and you got like a free postcard and all these fun things. So they were great to hang out with. Then very exciting. I went to the Ahsoka panel once again in a live streamed room, but that does not change how it feels at all. And before I went, I was like, yeah, I bet it's still good when you're not in the room, but it is the same energy. So they have, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni come out to talk about Ahsoka and Rosario Dawson. And then they go, well, we're confirming Hayden's in season 2. So he comes back and he's talking about his experience for season 1 and maybe what to expect in season 2. They do some fun reveals for the next season. And then they showed like it was like a trailer, but it was like just concept art, like zooming in and out. And it was meant to be like, because I think Dave Filoni said he tried to do like Empire Strikes Back because they didn't have any footage. They just showed like concept art with a voiceover and music. So it was kind of fun of just like seeing like, oh, what's that scene? What's
clever workaround here?
Yeah. And it was like a fun vibey thing. And once again, don't record, and people just kind of sitting there like this. And I didn't, because I just want to enjoy the moment. I don't want to be worried about getting caught or anything. So I thought someone's going to record it. So it's not for me to record. So that was a really fun panel. Vibes are just up here. Everyone's having a great time. I walk out and then I'm like, oh my God, that's Rayside. Like one of the best Australian YouTuber. So I walk up to her, I'm like, oh, Hannah. And she said on a story, like, oh, if you meet me, call me by my name and give me a hug. So I was like, oh my God, love your content. Her content in Star Wars Sith, they were the Star Wars Celebration University. Like they would do live streams about heroes.
Actually, I remember you watching one of those. Yeah.
And I'd like comment being like, would it be silly for me to do this and this at the same time? Like, yes, do not do that. So she was great to talk to. I said, oh my God, I'm so glad to meet you. And she said, can't believe, Sydney and Melbourne, we have to meet in Tokyo. And we were chatting for a bit. And I think she was wearing the Culture Kings Darth Vader shirt that I wore to the Hayden photo. So I showed her that quickly. And then this was an example for me of like a really positive experience in a Star Wars community. And I don't know, everyone has their own take on it, but this is how I viewed it. She had like her swag stuff to give out, and I had my Force Awakens. I was like, sorry, it's like kind of lame. Like it's just cut out stickers. And she's like, no, that's vintage. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, No, it is awesome. Yeah.
Right,
so stuff like that, I was just like, people just being very cool, and then, got a quick photo with her, and it was just like great to talk to like a content creator, and that maybe did kind of inspire the channel a bit, chatting to her a bit, and, just seeing what her few days had been like. Like I tried to just keep it brief, and like they probably get a few people coming up to them. You just want to keep it going, but she was very lovely to talk to. That was really good.
Do you want to announce what happened a few months ago?
Oh, very awesome. Very awesome. Rayside started following me on social media, and I said to Amelia, if the Rayside ever engaged with my content, I think I would just call it there, because what else even I've made it. So that was a very special moment a few months ago, or a month or two ago when that happened, because I was like, whoa, I really look up to this person, and they just kind of follow me and comment on my stuff and like my videos, and I'm like, whoa, this is really cool.
Very exciting.
So it's very exciting. So thank you, Rayside, if you're watching this. And then after that, I went to the bathroom quickly. I promise you, there's a reason I'm telling you why I went to the bathroom. It's relevant. I had my celebration moment. Queuing up for the bathroom. Casually look behind me. Hey, that's Mon Mothma, Dedra, and Bix from Andor. Oh. What? They're just walking behind me, so I'm trying to quickly grab a photo of them. And it's stuff like that where you have to be on the whole day. You can't even just turn your brain off in the line for a bathroom, because Mon Mothma might just be behind you.
And you'll miss it.
So that was cool to kind of see them walking the floor. And they had the Andor panel that day. So apparently what they did for that panel was they showed the first episode of season 2, which it would have been...
First episode?
Yes.
Wow. Like the whole episode?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they had like a 10-minute panel.
Yeah.
And then they showed the episode, which it's hard because part of you is like, I'm the first person in the world to see this episode. But at the same time, it's like, I'm going to see it in a week. I would rather hear them talk about the show for an hour.
True.
I wouldn't have been disappointed. I'm glad I went to the Ahsoka panel over the Andor one. But Andor season 2 was a great show. So maybe in retrospect, I wish I went to that. And so that was another experience. Like, oh my God, meeting all of these people and seeing these people. What the hell is going on? Then I did what you said you wouldn't have done if you were with me. I stood by the celebration stage for 4 hours.
Not that I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but I think my legs wouldn't
there are no
be able to
seats
handle
there.
that.
Keep in mind. So you're standing up for 4 hours, and it's one of those things you progressively get to the front because people kind of just leave over time. Because it was my day. I purposely kept free to either go to a fun panel, because people said, plan celebration, you'll do half of it. So I went,
okay,
hey, if
I'll
I plan
half of it.
What happens then?
Yeah.
Live stage, I don't think I'd do it again, but I was so glad I did do it, because it was a great experience. So I'm in the front row, and there is Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Rosario Dawson, or there's Alan Tudyk, or there's Diego Luna. And obviously you're waiting 3 or 4 hours. It's a long time. And in between the people, there's like a 10 or 15 minute break. You're kind of standing there waiting. But it was so good. They had this really good MC there. He was like a really great hype man. His whole thing was shtick was just to hype people up and be like, hey, everyone loves Star Wars here, yeah? And he had like a t-shirt gun, and you're like, come on, shoot it at me. And he was great, because at one point when there was a bit of a lull, he came into like the barricade area and was giving out his swag, which were Star Wars Celebration live stage stickers.
Okay.
Which I think must be super rare. I've got one, and I think they must be super rare, because you have to be standing at the front of the live stage,
arm's reach,
while he's going around. True. So I think it could be the rarest thing I got from the event, right? Because they were doing tricky. So then I gave him like a BB-8 sticker, which I'm sure he kept. Anyway, he was actually a really nice guy. At first I thought it was like cheesy, but I was like, no, he's actually really positive.
He's doing his job.
Being a nice guy, so he's doing a great job. And so the reason I have this book here, I read most of this book, not all of it, before Celebration. And then on the live stage, they had the author for the book come out, but they had 3 authors come out and everyone's clapping. And then when they go one by one, they say this guy's name. I start screaming. I was the only person. So
that must be nice for them, though.
He looked at me in waves. I was like, yes, the author knows me. Great book, by the way. Great insight until it's meant to be like a very academic insight into the
historical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's meant to be an in-universe look at kind of like an Andor vibe of how does the Empire operate? How does it exist? Why does it exist? How does it continue to exist? What are the logistics? So it was great hearing him talk about the book a bit. And then, so he spoke for a bit, and then Manny Jacinto came up from the Acolyte, who was Kumia the Stranger. And that was another celebration moment. Was the show wasn't received the best. The show had been cancelled, but there were some Acolyte heads in that audience. And it was great because you could hear people chanting for him when it came out. They surprised him with the Black Series helmet, which hadn't been released yet. And they got him to like put it on, and everyone's chanting. And then when they like said, "Oh, thank you for coming on stage," and he walked away, people are just yelling out season 2. And it reminded me in London, I think they had the same thing for Hayden. He got up on stage and people were cheering for him and he got emotional. And you could tell Manny was a bit emotional because it would have been a tough experience. But then I think it's maybe a good thing going to an event where there's so much love and passion. People want you there. Where you're probably expecting, if I'm going to a Star Wars event, people are probably going to like hate me. But it was great. Everyone was on his side. Everyone's chanting for him. So you never know what will happen with that show, but I hope at least he knows that people really appreciated his part to play.
It.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have liked season 2.
I would have liked season 2, but it is what it is. But I'm glad he got that exposure. Yeah. That people do like it. People
recognizing that you're pouring this much into a character and
exactly.
performing
and
as well.
Yeah. So otherwise, the rest of the day, it was honestly, that was pretty much it. Actually, one very, very exciting thing that happened for me was Amelia called me on the live stream for the event because I was standing by the live stage. Yeah. So maybe took a screenshot. Standing. Another moment, I was thinking my 12-year-old self
would have been watching
his
this.
mind would explode to think I'm on the Star Wars Celebration screen. You know, I was waving like an idiot, and just so happy.
What else would you be doing?
Great experience. So, yeah, I think lining up or standing by the live stage, it was an incredible experience. I just don't know if I'd do that again. It's a lot of time you're committing, but when it happens,
when it works,
when Alan Tudyk is right there, it is kind of pretty awesome. So that was nice. And they're like Ashley Eckstein, who's the voice actor for Ahsoka, and she was she was more talking about fandom and just saying how great the Star Wars fandom is. You know, it is the best fandom. But she was just talking about like how great of a fandom it is. And it was nice just hearing that rather than talking about, like, obviously it's great to hear about the projects and what they're doing, but hearing someone talk about the fandom to the fandom. So that was a lovely, lovely moment. I really appreciated. And that was my day 2. It was a lot more relaxed. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. It was a lot more relaxed, but I wouldn't trade day 1. Like I wouldn't change day 1, but day 2 was a lot more relaxed. So I don't know, like I've got this stuff here just to remind me of kind of what happened in Celebration. I think those are from last day. So that made the 4th poster. The Disney store had a little booth and they had a challenge. It was like a wooden banana, like on its balancing side. You had to roll a 6-sided die, and whatever side you rolled, you had to put that many little figures on the banana without it tipping over. I rolled a 6. But I managed.
The one time you don't want to see.
The one man at time. And then, but I managed to line all of them up, so they gave you that poster if you did it successfully. So that was a fun poster to get. I was very happy with that. And otherwise, these Celebration cookies, this is like an impulse buy. You walk by a booth and they just have like a stack of them. Don't even check the price. Just
tap.
Just tap and
Take
go.
my money.
I think it was the reason I have this out. When I saw the race side quickly, I had a second version of this from the Japan episode. I gave her the second one I had of this because I remember thinking, I wanted to give to someone that has been very, like, I don't know, influential and important in my, like, Star Wars journey, you know? So I thought if I saw her or Star Wars Sith or another content creator or made a really great friend, I'd give it to them. So I gave her that one. That's how I remember that. And I think that's it. Those other 2 posters are still yet to be talked about. But that was pretty much that day. It was kind of nice having a bit of a cruisier day. Obviously, I could have lined up for more merch and spent more money, but I think I enjoyed just because in my mind, the merch, whether I got a bomber jacket or not, it wouldn't change my life. But being able to stand by the live stage, you only get that at Celebration. Star Wars merch will be at any event ever. Maybe not the Japan merch, but it'll be somewhere. Whereas you don't get that experience of being at the Star Wars Celebration live stage right next to the actors and all of these amazing people. So day 2 was my like Star Wars Celebration experience day. And then went home, fried chicken rice, hot bath, amazing, straight to bed. Day 3, the morning was not stressful because I was leaving that night, flying out that night. I had to kind of pack a bit the night before the morning of. Day 2, the night time, I called you and I said, I think I'm just going to buy every autograph I can. Because day 3, I didn't have much planned, very intentionally once again. So that night, I bought Anthony Daniels, C-3PO, Mads Mikkelsen, Galen Erso, and Manny Jacinto. I think, those are the 3 I bought. And so I go to the event once again. Lines much better this time. Much better, much more smoother. They've got it. 3rd day, they finally understood how to do a line.
Because they've cancelled everyone on Sunday.
Honestly. You've got a point there. So I thought I'm going to get my autographs done first. First person I go to is Mads Mikkelsen. Obviously, we know now, but at the time I was thinking, I bet he's in Andor Season 2. Because why is he at Star Wars Celebration? It was. I thought it was
a while ago.
He didn't have the biggest role in Rogue One. Yeah. He's never been at many Star Wars events. And I thought, if you're at Celebration, I thought he was going to appear at the Andor panel. Something has to be cooking. Yeah, I thought he'd be at the Andor panel, or he was going to be in the show at a minimum. So I was surprised he didn't end up being in either, because it would have been easy to just shove him in there. So his line wasn't too long. It was pretty good experience. They had released a hot toy exclusive for Galen. I actually saw some people brought that in to get signed. I got my poster to get signed again. So I went up to him. And he was very nice.
I remember you.
He looks much better in person.
Specifically commented.
He looks much better in person. I'll leave it at that. He was there with his wife, so it was good. I chatted a little bit to her, and I got the quote, "It's a peaceful life." I just feel like that's like a fun quote. It's very Galen Erso-y. So it was good. I was talking to him. Some people were getting James Bond stuff signed. Oh. Yeah, I know. Which, like, I guess, if you're there, you may as well, if you're interested. So he was a great one. Have a little chat to. You could hear there was one person who was German, and he was talking to him quite a bit about what town he was from. Like, obviously he had a connection to somewhere in Europe, and he was really honing in on that. So it was kind of fun, like, getting to witness that. The next autograph I got was, I think, Manny Jacinto. That he had this is kind of what you wanted for Hayden. A small line, but you're lined up for a while because he spent 2 to 3 minutes talking to everyone that came through, which was so lovely of him. And I get you have that luxury when there aren't as many people in your queue. I get it. But it meant I wasn't annoyed in the line because it wasn't just like, I'm going to get my turn. It was more like, he is spending time to engage with fans. Yeah. So I'm happy to line up. If other people get to enjoy the time with them, why wouldn't I line up for that? And, not to be selfish, but I mean, I'd probably get the same. So, and like his line was just like acolyte head after, like, he had people dressed up as Quimir, people who drew art of him. No Jason. So Jason from The Good Place. And some people had like incredible hand-drawn art they made of him. And it was just, you could tell the passion was there for the character. Someone got like a Vogue magazine of him shirtless signed. I was like, it was just funny. Because he said, I haven't seen this in years. And then he got a photo with that person. And then so I go up to him and I said, just want to say, obviously loved you in Acolyte, a given, but I loved you in Good Place. Like, me and my girlfriend Amelia, we loved you in that show. And unfortunately, Amelia couldn't be here because she has a quiz.
The very important 8% uni quiz.
I had to lock in and not laugh when saying she had an 8% quiz, so she couldn't come to this event. And
it was in person. That was why I couldn't go.
And look, I may have fibbed a bit here. Amelia gave me some Tim Tams to take with me. I gave Manny these Tim Tams saying they were from you, and I said, look,
obviously,
she got these for you. So I thought I'd push my luck, and I said, could you record a message for her? And he looked at his handler, she nodded, and he was like, yeah, I'm sure we could. And I was thinking,
this is happening.
Okay. What do I get him to say? So do we keep the message private?
It's up to you.
I'll leave it to you. Look, he sent a very nice message. He wished you luck on your quiz.
You could leave it at that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll put the video up without the audio, but it was very nice. And he had to say your degree. And it was like, when he was recording it, he was asking me what to say in the recording. Yeah. So you can hear, he goes, what's she studying? And I go, no. Masters of Pharmaceutical Science, because I didn't expect that question, so I was just blurted words at him, and he went, whoa, okay, good luck with that degree.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever that is. So that was a very like taken aback moment of, wow, Manny Jacinto Jason from The Good Place and The Stranger, he recorded a message for Amelia, which was so exciting.
Which was very kind.
And his autograph was great, and I knew I had to move on after getting that recording, because I knew that was my time. But I still said to him, look, I hope we get to see more of The Stranger in the future. Love your work, mate. And then the next person I got my autograph from was Anthony Daniel C-3PO. Now, this was the one I was nervous for, because I'd heard before he's hot and cold. He's either the loveliest person ever, or he's
doesn't want to be there.
I think it's more he's just like, all right.
He's probably been doing it a long time.
He's been doing it since the original movie, so I get it. He is sick of these nerds coming up getting their stuff signed just to resell it on the internet.
Here's my gold pen.
Yeah, but no, he was... I got him on a good day. He was very lovely. There was one person, she was in a wheelchair, she had an oxygen mask, and she was with her boyfriend. He spent ages with them, which I thought was just lovely for him to do. And you could tell it meant a lot to those two people. So it was lovely for him just to chat with them for a bit. And then I got up and I was speaking to his handler. I think it was like a family member of his, and she was lovely. She was so nice. And she was saying how he went to Australia in 2023 supernovas, I think.
Okay.
I think mainly did like Perth and Brisbane. I can't remember the specifics, but they were saying how they might want to come back to Australia. So I was like, can't on. So I kind of enjoyed talking to Handler more than when I got my autograph, because she was so nice to talk to. And then in my head, I was thinking, oh yeah, so my poster, it's got red and blue signatures. And I thought, I'm going to be so original. I'm going to give him a gold pen.
Which I hinted at earlier.
To go, wow, so original.
But it's so cute though.
I know, it is cute. So I gave it to him, and I just...
a nod to the character.
It was one of those moments I got a bit dumbfounded. I was like, whoa, this is C-3PO in front of me. This is the protocol droid. And he was very lovely. He was very practical. He said, now make sure you don't fold this poster because you don't want the ink getting everywhere now, do you? And I was like,
no.
So, and then I said, yeah. And I was kind of struggling with my bag. And he's like, oh, I'll help you carry it to a table. And then this is when I went, huh? So we're lifting my poster. I look up and I'm thinking, C-3PO is helping me carry my poster right now. And then he's just chatting for me a little bit just about like pens and stuff. And I'm thinking, if my 15-year-old self could see me now. And okay, this was the celebration moment for me. This was like the ultimate celebration moment. C-3PO was helping me carry my poster, making sure it didn't get damaged. And behind me comes Boba Fett saying, I hope you're well today, brother. And he walks into the back room. What? And look, my headcanon is that Tamara Morrison remembers me from Supernova. But it was that moment of...
He might, because he was the first, wasn't he?
He was. But I just remember that was a moment of, this is a lot for me to take in. I'm just all these Star Wars things going on. So that was maybe my celebration moment of everything's happening right now. I've got C-3PO's carrying my poster. I've got Tamara Morrison, Jango Fett, Boba Fett. Every clone of us just like asking how I'm doing.
So by percentage of characters, a fair few.
I've spoken to 90% of the Star Wars characters. So that was a surreal experience for me. I know it's such like a minor experience, but it was so like, wow, I am here right now. And then, so after I autographed it, I let it dry. Don't worry, Anthony. I let it dry. And then I decided, I'll send you the video now. So I FaceTimed you while I sent the video, and it was nice to see your reaction while you watched it. So I don't think you were expecting it at all. Because I only thought of it when I was in the line, because I was thinking, I don't have much to talk about. Like, just being like, I like you. And he was subsequently in Freakier Friday.
He was,
which was a lot of fun. I more enjoyed it because I was like, I've met him. He's recorded a message for her.
I don't know about you,
we're
but
cool
I've met him.
That. Yeah, he's talked about your degree and quiz.
Yes.
So, and he wished you luck. So what else do you need? But that was getting those 3 autographs back to back, a limited line, very good experiences with each person. I was like, this is what celebration should be, what it is. And this is the experience everyone should have. So that was really special for me. That like 20 minutes of just like a quick bang, 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 bang. So yeah, this was when I went, yeah, I'm at Celebration. I'm just gonna enjoy stuff.
Soak it all in.
Made friends with a few people. Went to a few booths. I didn't go to any panels that weren't ticketed. Like they just had like panels kind of on. Like for example, they had Tamara Morrison and Daniel Logan, who plays young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones. They were doing a like Revenge of the Sith retrospective or prequels retrospective, which I was like, I didn't go to in the end.
Interesting.
But they were doing father and son presentation. Yes. Thematic. And look, I would be very entitled to say I was annoyed, but at the end, they gave out tickets for that Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary Japan poster. And it wasn't advertised as the Revenge of the Sith event. It was just the Tamara Morrison, Daniel Logan special. And it was nice because those two then came out onto the live stage and they talked about they're very close because apparently Daniel Logan's father is in his life that much. So when they filmed Attack of the Clones, kind of Tamara Morrison took that role kind of, and they've been in touch a lot since then, to the point where I think Daniel Logan's daughter calls Tamara Morrison like granddad or something. Aww. Like it's a very close relationship, which is just lovely to see. And they got Tamara Morrison's daughter, who's like 7. She came up on stage with them because like, of course you would. And then they were saying, wouldn't she make a great live action Omega? who's like the character from the Bad Batch. She is a female clone of Boba Fett. Like,
nice, yeah.
And they said, wouldn't she make a great live action Omega? So they're just like promoting her, and everyone's going, yeah, she would be. And they, you know, she would wave to the crowd. Everyone would start screaming for her. Like, it's just that stuff. And obviously when they came, they did the haka, which was a very powerful moment, you know, when you
moving,
get that, for them to do that, and you're in this room with all these people are just really screaming. It's a really lovely moment. So the last thing they did at Celebration was actually, one more Celebration community moment, which this meant so much to me. I met this guy day 2, the queue to get inside. I met him. We're just chatting. He's from the UK. And then I think we messaged on day 3 just about what he'd been up to. And then he said, by the way, I got 2 tickets for the father and son panel to get 2 tickets for that poster. Do you want one? Yes. Sorry. Yes, I want one.
Yes, please.
But I was just thinking, he probably has so many other people in his life that he should be giving that poster to. And he gave it to me. And that means so much. It really meant a lot for someone. Like, that was as an example of that Star Wars community that's generous and so kind. Look, if it was me, I don't think I'd be as generous. I'll be honest. I probably would have just taken 2 for myself.
Well, but it was lesson for next time. Then.
It was so kind of him just to give me that when he had no reason to. That was really special. That was very special. And so the last thing they do at Celebration is they do the farewell panel and announcement for the next one. And I thought I have to be in the live room. Like, I need to be there when it happens, because I have to go to Star Wars Celebration and say I was in the room where the announcement happened. So you line up like 2 hours beforehand, which is fine. And then you get in, it's like this buzz in the room. Like, everyone's excited. But it was this like weird, like bittersweet feeling of like, oh, it's coming to an end, but they've got such an exciting announcement. So they do the first 10 minutes. They show a video of clips from Celebration. So like, they've obviously like really been editing it quickly. And it was nice being like, oh God, I remember when they did that announcement. I remember when they did that. Oh, I didn't see that happen. That was cool. And they had people on the floor saying what the event means to them. And then they come out and they announce the next one's LA 2027, 50 years of Star Wars. Everyone's cheering. And then everyone just kind of gets up and leaves. And it's like, oh, it's over now. Like, I've been waiting.
It's a memory.
Most people wait 2 years. I've been waiting 2 months. But I was like, whoa, like, it's over now. It's so weird that just like that, it just is done. And then thankfully the people working there, they let you kind of go back into the main hall, and they were kind of telling people to go, but you're kind of walking around a bit. And when they did, all of the posters they had left over, they were just handing them out. You didn't need a token because obviously they don't need them. So, you know, you could walk up and take as many posters as you want. I think most people just took 1 or 2 of each. So that's how I got the Andor. That was from the Andor panel. I think I didn't get there. They had the Star Wars video game, they announced panel, and the 20 years animation panel they had posters for. I didn't get them in the end because they ran out. I wouldn't say I'm annoyed, because like I got these and I really shouldn't have. So I was very grateful to get all of those. And then you could see when you're walking out, people are very hurriedly getting photos with another or trading swag, because you don't take swag home with you. So someone gave me this Kylo Ren bracelet. So I wonder what she thought of the Ben Solo movie. But you know, everyone's just trading with one another, and you see Darth Vader, and you're like, Darth, get over here, I want a photo. Come on. So it was just this amazing moment. And then you're outside, when you finally walk out, you know, you look back on time and you go, yeah. And then you walk outside, and then, you know, you're walking around, you can see everyone's just like no one wants to go. Everyone's hanging. There's like the massive banner at the front. Everyone's getting a photo, and everyone's getting like group photos. And it was a lovely experience. And then I just got there, trained home then. And then it kind of hit me that I remember I called you and my mum, and I was really emotional. I think I just wasn't ready for how much like it would mean. Because like, I think for me, right, and this probably speaks for a fair few people, when you grow up a decent chunk of your life where like it's not cool to like Star Wars, and I'm not saying, you know, you're perfect for being a Star Wars fan, but it's like, you know, when you're in high school and you can't say you're a Star Wars fan because it's just not cool. Like, people might not bully you, but it's just not cool. And you keep it to yourself, and then you go through the phase of, oh, I don't like Star Wars, and then you go to this event and you're just surrounded by people who are more passionate about Star Wars than you. They love different sides of Star Wars than you. They just make you feel so welcome. There are people giving posters to you when they have no reason to, other than community. People giving you free stuff. People giving you advice on tips when it's just to their detriment to share it with you. You just feel the love and the passion in the community. And I think for me and for a lot of people, you see the online Star Wars community, and there's a certain side you see, you know. And I think it was with Manny particularly, you see, no, the real Star Wars fans who go to these events, they love this. And I'm not saying you have to love things blindly and you can't critique things, but there's a difference between being rude and just being kind. And that's really what this event showed to me was you can just be kind. Not that I wasn't kind before, it was just like you can be a force for change. In the Star Wars community, it's just all these lovely people meeting Rayside, meeting Bombastic, meeting my poster friend, meeting my food friend, meeting Manny Jacinto, meeting Anthony Daniels. There's all these things where it's just you felt loved and cared for even though you knew no one. You just liked a space opera. And we're all here celebrating this one thing. And I think celebration is really what caused me to start this podcast and this channel. It was just that what I felt over 3 days, except for the lines, what I felt over those 3 days, I want to give to other people. I want to make Star Wars a positive place. I want people to feel welcomed. I don't care if you've only seen one episode of The Mandalorian or if you've seen everything, read every book, you're welcome and you're wanted. And I love people who like things that I don't, or in different ways. I met people, they didn't care much for the shows, but they love the cosplay, or they love the art, or they love the music. Because it's boring if everyone likes what I like. What's the point of having these conversations?
That's true.
So this event just showed me that everyone has their Star Wars. And you always hear it, but when you're just talking to so many people in a short span of time that are so different to one another, I just held on to that. And it really got to me. And I just thought, this is something I need to share with people. And, you know, I hope I'm able to emulate it somewhat, even like a 1% of what it is. But it's just, that is what inspired this channel so much, was just that passion and joy. And I think before the Mandalorian Grogu panel, one of the presenters said, this is the only place in the world where you're surrounded by nerds who are more nerdy than you, and no one's going to make fun of you for it. And as corny and cheesy it sounds, it is so true, because you live a lot of your life thinking, to people are going to judge me a bit. Is it a bit childish? It is childish. But, you know, is it childish? Is it cringe? Is it, don't be over the top? But you just realize when you want these people in your life, these lovely, amazing, I feel like I'm going on my Giancarlo Esposito sermon. But it was so moving for me being with all these people, being around all this acceptance and love and passion. And like we said in another episode, we met someone who ran a dessert shop who went to Celebration. We have this amazing connection just as soon as we meet each other. It happens for everyone that you meet there and anyone you talk to since the event. So I get why Celebration means so much. It's more than the movies, it's more than Star Wars, but it is, because it's just there's a moment when you're at the live stage and you look around and there are hundreds of people with either shirts on or costumes on. You're like, it doesn't get better than this. You don't get more nerdy, more fandom, more acceptance, more love. So if you have a slight interest in Star Wars, go to Celebration, enjoy it, feel it, just have that experience. It is really like a one-off thing you cannot replicate. Like Supernova is great, right? But it's not like this is... I feel welcome and accepted. Not that I don't at Supernova, it's more like when you're surrounded by Star Wars people and you can just talk about anything. Specifically
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope I'm just saying the same thing in circles, which I am, but it was just
important.
It was such an important event because it started this channel. It's made me feel more proud to be a fan, or more I can go out there and just say I am without...
This is who I am,
caring what people think. Now, like I just say I'm a fan. If they don't like Star Wars, I kind of don't care. Now when I meet someone like, I hate Star Wars, I go, well, it doesn't impact my enjoyment. And if anything, wouldn't life be boring if we all liked the same thing? So I think it's given me a really good appreciation on Star Wars and how to enjoy it and how to not care what people think and just embrace those people that, you know, care about the same thing you do. And so I guess the last thing to do, which I spoke about at the beginning, was my poster that my mum put together, actually. So there was a lot of swag left over. And the art in the middle of it was from Supernova. So it was a bit of a fraud. But so I'll have it up on screen now. So starting at the top left, we've got the Star Tours postcard, which that represents my friend who was showing me around the floor, just showing me, here, grab stuff. Then I've got in the middle, it is like a felt cross-stitch thing. I think you're meant to go to this one booth every day and eventually you'd get this whole pattern. I think I just got one. It's a nice memento. Top right is the live stage sticker. This was the hyper exclusive. You had to be standing there the whole time. Oh, and on the live stage it was fun. They had a chef on stage the whole time and he'd make like art of characters. Like he'd make C-3PO out of celery or R2-D2 out of rice. And
cute.
And it's whoever's actor was on stage, he'd try to make their character out of
food
while they're on stage.
Gee.
Amazing.
Clever.
On the right side, I've got each day's badge, which I loved the art for. I've got another postcard, which is the droid marathon. And then the 3 things on the side and bottom left corner, that is some more swag I got from people. And those were the swags that I felt a lot of craftsmanship was put in. And they're people who I specifically remember. So there's just it was just lovely stories of meeting actors, content creators, fans. It is the perfect 3-day experience for a Star Wars fan. And I would highly recommend if you have any interest in it. And yeah, it's meant so much to me, that experience. I've really loved it. I've really cherished it. I tell everyone I know about it. I do get sick of giving the same 40-minute story every time I tell someone about it.
But now you can direct someone here.
Exactly. And it's just, you can probably tell I'm gushing over it. It was just a lovely experience, so special. You don't replicate it anywhere. It meant so much to me. Maybe because I was by myself as well. But yeah, that was my Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 experience. Loved it.
Hoping to get to LA?
Hoping to get to LA, and I reckon there'll be some very juicy announcements.
50 years, yeah.
50 years, because it's the last big one they'll do for a while. George Lucas is going to be there. John Williams will be there. Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, they'll be. I think it's the last one where you'll get
originals.
All the originals, all the big people. Hopefully people like Natalie, Hayden Ewan, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac. It would have been interesting. Oscar Isaac was meant to be at Celebration, but he didn't end up showing. I think he had something else on. Anyway, that was my Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 experience. I hope you enjoyed hearing my very long rant about it. Not rant, but story. Yeah. Storytelling. That's what this is all about sharing stories. So, as per usual, you've been listening to another episode of Cast the Whills. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify. And if you follow us on any of those platforms, you officially become a Guardians of the Whills. Enjoy yourself. Be a Star Wars fan. Be proud. And may the podcast be with you.
And maybe we'll see you at LA 2027.
We'll see you. No, we will see you at LA 2027. And I want you in your best costume, every autograph ready to go. May the podcast be with you. Bye.
Bye.